Well, yeah, we just got to figure out I'll send you the email that I have, that I just got yesterday from.
Yeah, I think I've read that in the contract, that at least half of it had to be, but we spent well over half of it. We spent 2/3 to 3/4 on salaries and stuff. Because almost all of the, drug court IOU stuff is paid out of the user fee account. They basically are close to balancing every month.
Yeah.
So like we spent, I mean, you can call it indigent testing if you wanted, but we spent close to $100,000 on drug testing last year that we didn't get reimbursed.
Yeah, that's a bad
David
deal.
says we can't ask for COVID money for it.
I'm sorry, what?
David says we can't ask for COVID money for it.
What?
For drug testing. David says we can't ask for COVID money for reimbursement.
Who said that?
My boss.
Okay. Yeah. What do they say
Email was so
about?
long that did
I
any,
did, I'm sorry, Kat, I couldn't even read it, it was so
I
bad.
mean, God, I just stopped. I am not sure. I mean, I'm gonna go back and try to make sense of it, but let me tell you 15 ways to say no.
Hey,
how I
Butch,
felt.
I have a question to ask you.
Mm-hmm.
Were your ears ringing this morning,
Uh-oh,
about 8:30, 8 o'clock this morning?
boy.
Well, I bumped into a friend of yours, and we had a lot of things to say.
One of those kind of friends, huh?
Yeah, Mr. Jacobs,
Oh, Kevin, where'd you see Kevin?
he was, I had to have some blood work, and then I zoomed out, so I went to the place, that breakfast at, Sunshine Cafe down here, and he and his wife were having breakfast. And I was sitting outside, went and sat at the counter, and he saw me, so I came over and had breakfast with him.
Kevin, you know, he's moved to Dallas now.
Yeah, that's what he was telling me.
Bought him a couple of,
High-end duplexes.
he had one of the best responses. You know, he was in a very tragic accident.
Yeah, I know.
And in fact, by the grace of God that he lived, they didn't even know he had been hurt. I mean, they didn't even know he was there
Yeah.
when that rock came through. But, so he settled on that with the trucking company. And anyway, so I mentioned to him one time about settling. He said, and about how much he got. He said, yeah. He said, I didn't get as much as I deserved, but I got more than I needed. So, I always thought that's a great answer.
Y'all have a quorum, y'all still make
Oh, I don't think we do yet. I think we need one more, don't we?
quorum, okay.
Let's see, what do we got? 4? 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, we do. Yep. 4 out of 7. Hello, Judge.
Hey there, good to see you.
Okay, we do have a quorum, so let's go ahead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, we got 4. All right, so we will call this meeting to order. First item is discussion and possible action to set a date in the event of technical difficulties, since we do not have anybody. Wait, what? We need 5? Why do we need 5? We got 4, that's a majority. We got 7 on the deal, don't we?
I think we have
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
I feel like we had this discussion a couple of years ago.
Isn't Ted Redshaw on this committee, and
There's
what
one
we
judge
put
who can't
Carter
do
on?
it
But,
on the pay sheet.
but why would we have to have 5?
Well, there's technically 9 members.
They didn't list the members from last month that weren't here.
Wait a minute, okay, who's missing off the front where it says
It looks
members?
like Kent Bridge is not on here for some reason.
And one more judge.
Who's the other one?
Well, I think
It was,
Judge Strong had asked to be taken off. I don't even know if we've replaced
Kent
her.
Bridge is missing out.
I believe it was Judge McCray, but I'm not positive. Because I know there was a lot
I
of.
don't think Judge McCray was ever a voting member. Was he? 'Cause- and do we have the authority, or the Board of County Commissioners have to
So do we or don't we have a
Thought you
majority?
needed 5.
I thought we did 5, too.
And we got two more that, again, who's not on the front of the
Yeah,
camera.
So we should Kent Bridge here and also should be on the front here.
There's 2 judges always assigned, and.
So we got one judge up here.
Yeah.
Miles is over 50, they try to move over here, so you can work in District 3, we also have 5.
Great.
Okay.
That's how you're supposed to do it, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Thanks.
Okay, so for the second time, we've got a majority.
Miles?
Thank you, Miles.
So,
Anything for you.
Ah, you're so kind. Such a,
Well, Miles,
Okay, item number 2 is approval of minutes, discussion possible action. This are the minutes of July 16th.
so moved.
Second it?
Got a motion and a second. No further questions, comments, all in favor?
Aye.
It carries. Next, item 3, discussion of possible action to approve our 2021 scheduled meeting, still meeting every other month. Should have a copy of those in your packet.
I move we accept the proposed meeting date.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Hearing no further questions, comments, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Number 4, discussion possible action to receive the day reporting center at North Care. This is the July report. Is anybody going to talk to this?
Did we have anybody last time?
No, I don't think they were, officing yet coming in, but I think all we need to do is look at it.
Anybody have a question on it? Anything on there? Your Honor, is there anything there that sticks out that we need to be concerned or maybe go into a little bit more?
I think we're referencing the report. That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
North Care's off, yeah. In fact, I think it's the only one that's got North Care on the top of the.
You know, my continued question is just whether, I'd like to have a metric by whether we know if we're doing a good job or not. Just not numbers in and of themselves, but those numbers represent, in relationship to some kind of metric, some kind of performance, some kind of, we're shooting for this because that's, we have a goal or a target and we know how we do compared to how we think we should be doing. And so I don't know, I know Mr. Cardi Bono, and there's also a national organization that governs pretrial services. I think they have some suggestions and some recommendations. Not my area of expertise, and so I don't have a lot to comment, but I just want to continue to urge all of us to have a metric by trying to understand what these numbers represent. And are we hitting our targets? And part of the reason is if we, like for example, if we use some new technology to communicate with people in the pretrial services under their supervision, how are we going to know if it works or not? How do we know if we don't track and measure not just the numbers of people who are getting out, but how many people are coming to court? And if we don't know that, we don't know if we're making progress with some of our new technology or methods. So that's what I would just challenge or ask from court services, is to help maybe educate me or us, this board, on how do we know if we're doing a good job or not? Just other than we're getting people out of jail.
I think that your comments are directed not only at North Care, but also at court services. And I will certainly redirect that question to, Wendell Hester, who, represents work in the North Care Day reporting, and his supervisor about, finding out what their best practices, say they should be doing.
I think it'd be a good idea, especially with some of the changes in the board members, to actually have North Care come and present as to exactly what they do, how they supervise the individual, whether they're doing drug and alcohol counseling for that individual, which obviously costs a lot of money, and whatever, because the county pays over $100,000 a year on this contract.
Right.
And that's a lot of money, and they probably need to have accountability by making a presentation other than sending a one-page report every other month. But I think just making the presentation, I know Judge Stoner's never heard it, I doubt Miles has ever heard it, Mr. Tardabono had never heard it. I think there are numerous people that have never heard the presentation. I think they'd learn a lot if they knew what North Care was doing.
I'll send an email out.
Yeah, North Care used to have a representative to this meeting every time, and then the last couple of times?
I just think COVID has messed everything up, but I will make sure that they are here.
Tell them we missed them. Okay, any further questions or comments on the day reporting center status? If not, do we have a motion to accept as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to accept as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 5. This is the Oklahoma County Court Services Bureau Monthly Statistics Report. Now we can get to y'all.
Thank you. All right, so we'll look at July. You guys have that there. The qualified without condition, 52, approved 45, supervised 416 during the month of July. Below for conditional bond, 100 presented to judges, 55 were approved, supervised 315 for the month of that, and 18 of those were approved for GTS. And I can go into August, let's see how many questions.
Okay, just a second, I do have a question. Okay, back on the pretrial release with conditions. Now, 101 were presented to you, so are sent by judges, and you continue, or you were supervising 315. When someone is presented to you to the program, they don't have a set length of time that they're in the program. How long are they in the program?
Well, like the defendants presented to or sent by judges, that's our paperwork that we deliver to them to give them an opportunity to approve them for release. 55 of those were actually approved for release.
Right.
But as far as how long they're on a caseload until their case is disposed of, which,
Okay.
Bob, you may know a lot better than me how long that's taking, but it could be.
Because that's, again, I look at that next line, with the 315 or what are that's what's being supervised
Yeah,
right now.
Right. Yes.
By you all.
Correct.
Okay.
Hey, Grant, you turn your mic on.
Oh, my gosh.
There's a power switch on it.
I'll do my best.
Just push it and hold it.
They're across the hall.
Okay, we're overrun by
Below
members
you
now.
over there. I was over there as well.
I've been looking for you.
Okay, you want me to go into August?
Yep.
Let's see, we got, without conditions, 28, 18 were approved, 374 supervised throughout the month. With condition, 69 were presented or sent by judges, 40 were approved, 286 supervised.
Okay, now that brings up my next question. So you all are responsible, in the month of August, you all were responsible for monitored or supervising, I'm sorry, over 600 people.
Correct.
How are you doing that?
Very resourcefully. Very resourcefully. So for example, the without conditions, the 374, those are people, that's your OR folks, that they're required to, it used to be, remember, they'd come in once a week, check
Right.
in, sign in, get reminded of their court date. It was approved that they could do that still or make contact in some sort of fashion. So we're doing a lot of phone contacts nonstop with checking in and reminding of court dates and checking if they need anything. So a lot of that's remotely. Your 286 on the bottom, that's your folks that are with a conditional bond that if they require drug testing or more extensive supervision, they'll come into the office. That's the difference between those two. So yeah, each case manager has about, what would you say? Yeah, and we've worked with it to make sure we're good to do that. We have a specific GPS case manager that focuses only on that, so it doesn't get bogged down by others missing something. So we have one that specifically focuses on that, making sure there's units in stock and ordering them and sending them back.
Okay, any further questions, comments from anyone?
Well, okay, so you say it varies. I mean, do you have 5 case managers or do you have 50?
How many
Oh,
dishes
we have,
been on the cold?
Including myself.
okay,
No, not sorry, 9.
right.
You have 9 total, and one of those only does the GPS, correct?
Right.
So then you have 8 others that handle a combination of the conditional bond and OR folks,
Well,
is that correct?
As it sits right now, we have 2 that focus on the without conditions. And then we have 1 that focuses solely on paperwork and interviews, which is an all-day affair. And then the others are the conditions.
Which would be 6. So, Kathy, you finished, sorry.
I think,
The number of defendants supervised under conditions and then without conditions, is that the total number of people that you're supervising?
Between
A
the
month?
two, right, correct.
So for the August numbers, you're looking at,
It was,
is that what the 672 number up here at the top is, or, because it looks like it's going to be pretty close to that,
so
374 and
the number
286.
supervised, you think for August?
Yeah,
So
total.
374 plus 286.
Right.
Yeah, it's not the 672 though, that 672 is just the ones
That
that
he's
they
awarded.
investigated.
Right.
Now, at some point, all of that just right now looking without conditions, at some point, all of that 374 were part of that top line.
Right.
Because they're investigated and then, what percentage that's investigated then goes into the program?
So that would be the amount approved by the judges. So if you take, and I watch this every month, it's not on here, but that's something we'll talk about here in a little bit. Of the paperwork we deliver to judges that are actually approved, the approval's about 60%.
Okay.
I want to say so about 40% are denied.
Anyone who's investigated this 672 has to be taken to a judge?
No, that's your, let's see, so number of defendants presented to judges, that would be the paperwork, actual completed, finished,
Oh.
everything done, sent
Okay.
to give them an opportunity to sign on the line and actually release them.
The
Of
six-
those, about 60% are.
And the 672 is everybody that you've
Right.
interviewed,
Print,
worked
we print
up.
off.
Right.
We hit the print button.
And,
it doesn't mean they're interviewed.
right, well, that 672, they can go through and then, with their exclusionary list, they can start checking people off and not waste their time,
It
correct?
could, yeah, it could be
No,
that. It could be
no, wait.
household.
Of those 672, none of those are on the exclusionary list. You guys are excluding them for another reason.
Unless, no, go ahead. Go
Well, I
ahead.
was just gonna say, a lot of times, PCDS with intent, methamphetamine is exclusionary. So until we print them, pull the PC to see the drug type, they're in the investigation process. Burglary to a dwelling is exclusionary, but burglary due to the vehicle is not. So we would still have to print them because it doesn't delineate the two. So some of those are exclusionary.
That's what I thought.
You know, how many people were booked into the county jail in a month? That,
I could look,
I mean, basically, 672, assuming 20 working days, you're looking at about 30 a day, 30, is that about
We average about.
Is this the sheet that,
60 a day?
with conditions, is that this sheet?
No.
So,
With
Oh,
conditions,
that's counting
without
with
conditions,
conditions and without, yeah, okay.
but this is for
Now,
July, not
kind of
August.
back up,
Go into this
question of
packet over
here,
here.
Miles, and that
This
is,
is a completely
that
different deal.
672
That's denial.
and that 108
Open this
are
up,
exclusive
go
of
back
each
to where
other.
it says North Carolina.
That 108 is not
I
included
think
in
you're
that
right there.
672.
There you go, you opened up right to it. So this is the
well,
month we're
yes,
discussing.
so, well,
Okay.
yes
So,
and no.
okay, all right, so, okay, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, for the pretrial release with conditions, that number also includes the ones that are sent as a conditional bond with bond reductions or a CPS. that
Or
there's
a
state-
judge asks us for work, it's an exclusionary charge, and judges ask for, hey, can you work this person up and bring me the paperwork?
Right.
Those would be.
Okay, so a pretrial release without conditions can become, that same person can become a pretrial release with conditions.
Correct,
Okay.
correct.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
I do, sorry.
Yes, ma'am. No, please.
The people that are supervised by GPS, so is that 81 number part of the 286 number?
Yes,
Okay. So it's not in addition to the 286?
correct, it is not.
That's just part of the conditions, right? Okay.
Okay. I'm sure that all the answers were correct, but I'm impressed you had all the answers, so good. Okay, any other questions or comments? If not, do we have a motion? Let's see, I guess we can accept both of these in the same motion. We did not accept, or did we accept July?
No, sir.
Okay, let's accept both of them in the same motion.
Move we accept July and August's report.
Second.
Got a motion and a second? Hearing no further questions, comments, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It passes, thank you. All right, next, discussion of possible action on the Oklahoma County Court Services Judicial Statistics
Yeah, that's-
Report.
Right, and
That's
as you know, this is just. a
So this is
breakdown,
August, and
of
that
the,
should be July,
conditions,
so.
numbers, so it's the same. Just broken down for July and August.
Just broke it down by
Judge, yeah.
by judge. Wait, what?
Remind me again, when one is denied, what happens to that person?
For us, there's really nothing left we can do. We work them up, we deliver it to the judge, we give the judge an opportunity to approve or deny them, release. And if denied for a pretrial release, then our work is,
Then they stay in jail,
unless they later can postpone or,
find another way out, window, however.
A lot of legs get broke like that.
Sheets work right now.
So that when a judge denies it, you're done. We can't take it to another judge. I think,
well, okay, no, I'm glad you asked that. So for example, if judge here denies a release, we'll take it to Judge Strong for another look to make sure, if she's willing to release.
right,
But as far as once the denials are done, they're done for us.
right. So, I mean,
But later on, if something happens in court and they decide to send them to us for supervision, obviously we'd be more than happy to do
Right.
that. However, if the court's decision.
yeah, I just wanted to make clear that
Yeah.
you do multiple judges.
I'm glad you
It's
brought
not
that
a
up.
one-stop shop and
We
you're
do
done.
that too,
So-
correct.
There seems to be a formula.
Well, you could go to a special judge and then go to Judge Trong. But if Judge Elliott denies you, you can't go to Judge Trong. If Judge Mai denies you, you can't go to Judge Trong. You can go from a special to a district, but you can't go from a district to another district.
Right, which is what we've been doing with Judge Craig when he was signing those, or not signing them, we would take
There appears to be a formula that seems to me like Judge Bass had two, that one of the smaller numbers, 2 were approved, and you go down through here, Kirby had 5 were approved, Maya had 1 was approved, and then you get to McCray had 34, only 8 was approved. That's far less than a 60% average. And then Trong had 30 and only 20 were approved, so. Is there a formula to that? Is there
As far as the reason why denied?
yeah, why they're being
And
denied?
we discussed this at the last
Right, that's
board
it.
meeting a little bit, and I don't.
Have we figured it out?
Follow up, but judges do not provide us with a reason as to why they would or would not.
I'll tell you, I mean, my experience is that they just have way too many failures to appear. So when you look at they may be eligible because of the charge that they have is eligible, but on their history, they haven't shown up in 3 or 4 other counties, they haven't showed up here, we let them out and they don't show up again, and so when you start seeing 3 and 4 failure to appears, they just, it doesn't make sense to let them out because they just don't show up.
And I'll say, I'll piggyback with what you said is, we talk about low-level offenders and people are in custody for a low-level charge, but like you said, criminal history is definitely taken and considered by the judges. For example, we have one individual who was arrested for trespassing on railroad property. Obviously, we worked it up and delivered, and it was denied. There's a lot of low-level offenses like that are denied, and
So back to the formula, if we know that, and as you're doing your study, and you realize that they have not shown up for trial, say 2 or 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, we would know that, right, in the study we're looking at?
yeah, when we do
So
our.
why would we even recommend them for pre-release if we already know that? Why would we do that?
They're not recommending, they're not releasing, they're not doing any of that. All they're doing is the
The
paperwork.
study, but in the
Right.
study, we've already established that in a strong majority, that basically, like Judge McCray, 27, he only released 8. Now, if we had a report already, that shouldn't even be wasting Judge McCray's time if they've got this history of not showing up to court, because we know McCray's gonna deny them.
But that's not Grant's call.
Right, okay.
Right, we want to give
Has to go to the
the
judge.
judges an opportunity to make a decision on their pretrial release. Otherwise, if that was the case, if we had, you'd be surprised, the vast majority of everybody we look at has a failure to appear somewhere.
Somewhere in their history.
If that's the case, then.
But we're trying to do 2,000 people, we're trying to do a huge number of people, right? And it just seems it would be simpler once we had the formula, that if we've got people over there, it's their first time in trouble or their third time in trouble, they've always shown up or only missed once. We definitely want to get them on this list.
And those usually are.
They are.
Okay.
The problem with what you're talking about is Grant is a BOCC department. He operates within a guideline.
Right, I understand
that the
what that is.
BOCC has done for him. And in our thought, and Joe's actually sitting back there, the way I understand it is we, as a Board of County Commissioners, decided years ago that we want to work up as many people as possible, and the judges can decide on that individual, whether or not they can, FDAs, they got a DUI in their past. There's a litany of things that
Yeah, I
the judges
totally understand what you're saying, but I'm just simply saying, if I've only got 5 or 6 people, and I can only handle so many people, and there's 2,000 people sitting in jail waiting for trial or pre-release or whatever they're waiting for, and I know for a fact that I can only get to so many, and as I come to people and I see, not that you're making the choice, but you pretty much, I would be working on the ones that have at least a 50-50 shot.
Oh, we do. We do them all.
Yeah, everybody that walks through gets worked up.
Yeah,
Right.
whether there's failures to appear or not, or multiple, we
Okay.
do them all. But I understand what you're saying. You don't, preference would be if there's a formula that says X amount of FTA, we don't even look at it. But yet again, like Cap said, it's.
Not your decision,
We're
I
not.
totally understand
Right,
that.
we want to get as much.
It's not mine
We
either.
want to get as much paperwork as we possibly can.
I stay on my track too, I understand.
And I'm only after they haven't paid their taxes, so. Okay, do we have any other comments? Grant, very good, thank you very much. Citizens' participation, anyone sign up to talk to this group? Anyone sitting in the back row is not allowed to have any input. Next to the board comments,
Hold
Your
on.
Honor. Oops, I'm sorry.
Chairman will make a motion to accept the report for the July
Oh, yeah.
judicial.
Second.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and multiple seconds, so we should be good. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. Now we can go into, no one has signed up for citizens participation. Board comments, Your Honor.
Let's see here. Primary comment is that, we are in need of a coordinator. That's the main thing I want to make sure that,
Wait,
what's that?
I'm not on drug court.
Oh, we're not?
No, sir.
We're just wrapping
This
this
is
up.
just court services.
Now, this court
This
service.
is, yeah, board comments on court
I have no
services.
board comments.
Okay.
Thank you.
No comment.
No, thank
I
you.
didn't move it that fast.
Down here.
So,
Just for three to
Because I
pick
thought
one.
we had a
What is this?
recurring, agenda item about, the connection
Just going down a
software,
packet.
and we haven't talked about that.
Oh, yeah, that's,
Is that on the court services?
I would like an update on that.
Discussion
I can do that
action.
now if this is the proper time.
Well,
You got me so excited, you know.
I got you. I'm not sure though, and this is actually going to the DA. I do know in the past, we've not been allowed, if it wasn't on the agenda, not been allowed to bring it up.
Well, and I thought that we had discussed that it was a recurring item, so I'm
I could understand.
confused about that.
No, I don't think you can.
You're not a
Let me
citizen of
assure
the
you
county.
that- Let me assure you, the budget board's got its behind in trouble time after time. I would encourage, be sure though, that that's on the next meeting, and that stays on there as recurring, because
And let's,
I sent emails.
yeah, that was going to be, my board comment would be to suggest strongly that somebody send an email, Grant.
Which I did.
To give an
which I
update.
did. I think.
But I guess we can't talk about it since
I think it was
it's
last
not.
week.
Was it last week?
Well, you may have sent one Monday and I missed it, and there's.
Chairman, do we move to put that on the agenda? Is that the?
I don't think we move, I think all we can
You
do
don't-
is just request that that,
Okay.
Yeah.
it won't be a motion, just request that that be on there. I think we can do that.
You don't have
We
to
can't
do
take any action or discuss the item. At least that's what we're,
Right.
as I said, the budget board.
Yeah.
We can get ourselves into enough trouble without it.
Right.
Well, we have a representative from the DA's office right there, so we can blame it on her.
We don't have anybody from the DA's office cell division out here, so we're in good shape. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm gonna leave that one alone. Is there any new business?
We're all trying to throw you under the
If not, motion to adjourn?
One cat and keep.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you, thank you. Okay, what am I doing here? Okay, you want to pass it?
Take one back to the rest.
Okay, then,
Bye-bye.
my chairman, is it?
But you
The
chair, yeah,
chair
you
of
chairman
all
the
the
next two.
meeting of
Turn it on.
the,
Punch your button, turn your phone on so we can hear you.
can you hear me? The chair will call the meeting of the Mental Health Court Board in the session. Do I have to read the notice?
No, sir.
No?
And item one is moved.
Item one is stricken. Number two, approval of the minutes. Chair will entertain motion to approve the minutes of mental health minutes from 7/16.
So moved.
Motion made and second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Next item is discussion and possible action to approve the meeting schedule for 2021.
Motion to approve the 2020 schedule of meetings.
Chair will entertain a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Number four is discussion and possible action to receive the report from Jenny Howe regarding, hello?
I'm, sorry, my allergies started to go crazy. I got an email from Ms. Hout today, and her daughter apparently has been exposed to COVID. So she is home with her child and not knowing results yet, and she was unable to get the report. She asked me if I wanted her to go down to the office and type the report, and I said no. And so, anyway, I gave her an out.
Yeah.
I hope that's okay with you all.
Okay, the chair decides we have a good reason why number 4 will not be presented and strikes that. Number 5 is discussion and possible action to receive report for the mental health court, from me. Don't have one. Number 6 is the budget stuff, which is attached. The front is drug court, the back is mental health court. Because of the drop in budgets for the drug court especially, Mr. Prater and I have discussed, and we're going to utilize some of the salary money that normally is paid out of drug court and paid out of mental health court this year. So we won't, we'll have a little more flexibility in the drug court budget. Normally, Mr. Prater and I are each given approximately $110,000 for benefits for staff for the courts. I don't like the numbers in drug court as far as financial numbers, so Mr. Prater and I agreed to take less money out of drug court and take some out of mental health court where we're fine. I spoke to him about it on the phone, so and we won't be doing it until the end of the year in June, so if there's something else that pops up, we'll keep you advised, but other than that, it shows the budget report and how much money is available, and we have plenty of bus passes, and with regards to mental health court, we were in contact with Jenny regarding them, and we did not buy any, to my knowledge, for mental health court. We didn't need them.
No, I think we have
We did?
2,000, so we didn't need it.
Yeah, she told me they weren't gonna need it. I said, don't do it. We'll buy them when they have the sale again in February, I think.
Right, twice a year, so.
Twice a year or so. Anybody have any questions regarding mental health court? Budget. Number 7 is discussion possible action regarding necessary office space for drug court and mental health court. This particular time, I think we're looking at establishing where everything is and where everything's going. We don't have any specific space. Talked about the first floor.
I had just a
Back, DA's charging pool hasn't left yet, have they?
No,
No, but they're,
not
soon,
big enough.
and it's soon, that the charge pool leaves. But you gotta, I don't know about that first floor. That's
Okay.
where we're at, and we're not in a new spot. I'm not saying that we can't use it, I'm just saying that I know that the charge pool hasn't left yet because they're waiting on timing for DA Civil to move to their new spot, and then we were looking at not only the charge pools, but the abstractor, space next to it not being used, and combining those, was my understanding. That you were proposing, I wanted to talk to.
Right, that's what I was
The
hoping.
infrastructure committee on Monday about, right?
Yeah, and hopefully you all would agree to possibly, if you combine the space, and actually, some people have said that snack bar, that dead space that nobody's using, that was kind of a waste of money. They could put up a wall there, and if they gave all 3 of those spaces, it'd be phenomenal. We could move the mental health court, the drug court, the veterans diversion program, all into that area.
The first floor in the courthouse?
Yeah.
Well, no.
Across from where purchasing.
In the annex, in the annex.
In the annex.
This one right here.
You know where purchasing is? You know where purchasing moved?
They created an eating place down there.
Chantel's old office. what they did was they expanded the seating in the,
Right.
and what we haven't seen yet is normalcy for the jurors and everybody else to be able to use that space, because of social distancing and so on and so forth. It's really not even available to have chairs and stuff. And there are chairs and tables, but they're so far spread out that we just haven't seen whether or not we can actually fill that. So to that, Bob, I would say, my opinion would be wait and see on that, because I'd like to be able to see what we are going to use, because for one of the things that Mr. Warren and his jurors have issue with is the time that they have to get lunch and have to come back. And if they have the ability to do that in-house right here, that's gonna save them time. And I'll put a plug in for them. They actually are doing very good food down there. If you haven't gone,
The food smells really good as.
You haven't gone, you should go.
Come down the stairs to go outside somewhere to eat.
Absolutely, exactly. It smells really good on your way out. So, to that space,
Probably not, but the rest of the space may be doable.
Well,
yes. But again, I would tell you to, as space utilization discussions are happening on Monday in the infrastructure committee, to get with Stacy, and you know how to do the floor plans and stuff, you've been working on those long enough, but to have something similar drawn up and ready for Monday to present, not necessarily you, but then Stacy can do it. So.
Okay.
Yes.
Or the judge can come, either way.
And we're talking about the abstractor space as well as where DA Silva is.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I just want to throw out, I've had some conversations with Keith Monroe. We were just trying to figure out the drug court, the testing over there, and his comment was, and I don't know how feasible this is, but, you know, fairly soon, Mr. Warren's moving all the records out of the basement. The basement's going to be available, and it's going to have outside access, and so that may be a great place for the lab and also for the drug court. I'll be in the basement of the Investors Capitol building, but it had its own entrance from the outside, and it'd be a lot of space down there. But he said, I know Mr. Warren's in the process of, I don't really know how long that would be, but Mr. Monroe, I don't know if he's in a position to even offer it, but that's what he came up with as is potentially a viable space for us. And Mr. Raps, I don't know if you've ever considered that or looked at it. I don't know. I know there'll be quite a bit of space over there, but
I mean, it's your footprint that you have on 4, just in the basement.
There's plenty of room.
Yeah. There would be more room down there.
The only problem is, let's get it out in the open. That building belongs to the Public Building Authority, and if they're gonna, we don't have the money to pay the kind of rent that Keith Monroe wants to charge over there. Let me tell you, I got a bill that I guess the budget board's gonna look at for $160,000 for my space.
oh wow.
For a year. And he wants me to sign a lease. So, you know, I mean, whether we can afford like a $10,000 deal, maybe a yield for all 3 of them out of mental health court, but to do anything else,
Yeah, that may be
we can't afford that. And the county has given us space in the Investors Capitol for 20 years, probably, right? 1980, 98, 90, yeah, probably 20 years now. And we've never paid anything other than $1 a year for the space. I mean, if they'll give that to us down there, because I don't think they'll ever be able to rent that basement out to anybody. I think it'd be a fantastic location, Judge. I agree with you, because you'd have a separate entrance. You could, you don't have to worry about the office not being open on a weekend if you decided to expand in the future. It'd be a phenomenal place, and you know, but if we're talking about that kind of footprint, we're talking $150,000.
Well, yeah, that'd be a complete restructuring of our, I mean, I don't know where that comes from.
Mr. Warren, you're very quiet.
Well, I know we're not leaving it anytime soon, and I know when we do leave it, there's gonna be a complete sewer. They're gonna take the floor out. There's gonna be, you're talking a year and a half. You know, you're talking a good year to year and a half, whatever, that you know, there's other spaces that's probably temporarily that would fit your needs. I'm just sitting there trying to think. But like our floor, we have a mask rule because we have so many people in such a small area, over 100 people in such a small area, and we're trying to get the commissioners to take a look at giving us down there at the end where Mr. Stein's people are, because they're hardly ever there and they're spread out. And he's got such a large space on three.
Be sure that's in the minutes exactly.
We're talking about spaces, so if we got that space, then we could probably make a space available in one of the little cubicles, little areas, which is offices across the hall, could be utilized. But right now, the way it is right now, we're shoulder to shoulder.
He's talking about the basement.
Oh, yeah, I know that, but I'm saying that the basement's not gonna be available for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, it's a year and a half.
He needs the
from where
space.
Okay.
And I've talked to Larry about it, and Larry was hoping that maybe you move to your office, your new office, the one up on 6, then possibly he could move his people that are down at the end over there and where you're at. And that way it'd give us, we'd take the wall out and wrap it around and add counters and spread our people out a little bit, at least 5 or 6 feet apart. Right now, we're about 2 foot apart.
Everybody loves those offices, Bob, I told you,
Yeah,
they're nice.
they are, they are nice.
I don't want
No,
mine
Larry's
has
got a lot
to
of money
function for the
too, he
public.
could pay for it, right? Doesn't he have accounts that, he just assesses.
Larry can afford it.
Yeah, he just assesses some more property, some more money.
That's all it takes.
Well, if there's a possibility of us getting a couple of offices at the end of one even, I mean, what a great, just in and out.
The abstractors are moving out down to the very end for sure. I had a meeting with all of them the other day, about 2 weeks ago, and they no longer need to be there because everything's on computer now. Mr. Hooten's done a great job getting that done. And so the abstractor said that they don't need that space. There's only 1 or 2 using it anyway, and they're moving out of it. And that's a nice sized little office down there on the end.
Yeah, there it is.
That might work.
Well, and the good thing about the area on 1 is that when it was being built out and stopped, there were actually 2 bathrooms, separate bathrooms from everything else that were plumbed and framed. They're not
And there's an entrance right there at the end of
done up and everything, but
Yeah.
that would make it real easy to do your drug testing, et cetera. But, I mean, here's what I've wrestled with this entire time. What is it the drug court needs? Because I don't know exactly what it is that you need. Are you needing office space for like traditional office space? Or are you looking for a courtroom or all the above, bathrooms to do drug testing?
I'd probably put something together, it'd be I think we're trying to create, just a kind of more of a one-stop shop for going in and have staff from veterans, drug court, mental health court, maybe even the evaluators, like the North Care evaluators, the screening. Where if you have a diversion court, you know where to go. Now, as far as keeping moving the lab over there for the testing, that's just a separate question that it deserves to be considered because it's also integrated, but the lab hours are often, they often test the weekends, so I don't know, getting them under the same
We
roof.
can't legally put the lab here because it's a private enter,
Because of
it's a
why?
private business. The lab can't be in this building because
Yeah.
it's a private business, yeah.
Unless it's a courtroom, and then the judge can do whatever they want to in their courtroom.
Okay.
But, yeah,
Judge wants to do that, yeah, I'm not sure I'm gonna be on the board because I
Well,
think.
no, I agree with that.
Yeah.
But that's also, I can tell you that
Yeah.
we've been providing office space to abstractors, which are
Private business.
private business as well. So
Yeah.
also the people that are, doing the snack bar is a private business. I think there is a workaround to it, and I think it would probably be a contractual deal, that we would lease the space or something. I mean, we are doing
Right now,
it
we're
with
giving them the space.
abstractors, and we're doing it with our snack bar people. So there is a precedent for it.
Okay.
We obviously have found a workaround, but I'm not exactly sure why. That would have to be obviously a question of the DA's office.
I
to
give
clarify
abstractors
that.
space on my floor,
Yeah.
and they're actually a private business, and what they do is they create a folder of the abstracts and sell to the other abstract companies.
Oh,
I didn't know how that worked, but they've been doing it for long
Okay.
before I came.
Huh. Maybe we could, but then,
I think it's possible. I think with the DA's assistance, I think there's a way to get there. I do think it is a contractual thing, same to the snack bar, they're providing a service to the courts. I mean, I think there's some merit in looking at it and seeing if there is a way that we can put them in there, with your drug court, diversionary court system. But, you know, the one-stop shop.
But your immediate need is just a couple offices down there, right?
Yeah,
That's-
we have, right now, we used to have our probation officers and all of our staff kind of under one roof, and right now, we don't even have enough room to get just our core team in one spot. And that's the issue.
See, that,
And so and everyone's right on top of each other.
and how many are you talking, what's the number of people?
Well, so, yeah, our core team is about 5, including our probation officers, and if we count in our peer support staff, well, the peer support staff are over there, Bob's, you know, we have 2 people that are on a grant from the city county health department that Bob just kind of, Madison wants to squat in her office, so.
well, they're squatting on the
So
floor
that's
right now.
that's 7, and then how many people an hour would you
But they're
see?
squatting.
I think,
Citizens.
I did a memo on this a couple of months ago, and I think that it's about 20 people. Because if you.
If you count all the programs.
Mental health court, drug court, vet diversion, those are coordinators, those are, hopefully, the case managers, it would be even people, the ones from North Care that would be doing the offender screen. It would kind of be a diversion offices, and some people would definitely need private offices because they would be having private discussions. Not everybody needs to have an office,
There's a lot.
private.
So you need about 1,000 square feet, is what you need, if you figure about 49 square feet per person,
Well, we need
7 by 7.
We need a waiting room, kind of a waiting
Yeah.
area, you know, sort of a,
About 1,000, 1,200 square feet, but probably, and there's probably that much down there, isn't there?
What'd you do with those deal where we had my office on 4?
We got our staff in there.
Those,
Dividers?
yeah,
They're
divide,
down at the warehouse.
you still have them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome to,
We can't,
anybody
we
needs
have
them.
to, we have to
Can't
dispose
get
of
rid
it
of.
properly.
If you need more, I got some at my warehouse that we used to use.
Yeah.
They're brand new looking.
I think, there's certainly the space to do this. I think there's also the space to put the drug testing, et cetera, in there. I would, if you could, Kat, forward me your email, or Judge, if you could,
sketch it out for you, yeah. with
or
proposals.
not necessarily sketch it out, because, I mean, I want you to have a floor plan before we start going in.
No, I'm not
Sketch
gonna
it.
just sketch out the requirements.
Yeah, just
Okay.
tell me exactly what, send me an email exactly what you're looking for. I will get with, our CAD people and start with a fresh blank sheet and ask them to build something out to what you're looking for. And CAD, if it tells me how many private offices, et cetera, that we're gonna need. And I mean, I know that these individuals are needing the private area to speak with their case advocate or whatever they call them. So I think it's doable. I really do. With the abstractors and with the charge pool, and I think it's probably doable with them. Let me put it this way. I think the charge pool will be gone in the next couple of months.
Okay.
The
And
abstract's
that's
already
space,
gone.
and I think, are they really already gone?
I think they're already gone.
So that space is already, and that's just a simple wall that was just tilted up that could come right down real easy. So
Okay, thank you.
I think there's something that we could do rather easily, but
Is it okay if I take a couple days to figure out who would need private offices from I mean, or do you need it by tomorrow?
No, I need it by like 5 o'clock today, if you can do it.
Oh, okay.
I'm messing with you, anything
Oh,
for
okay.
you,
He's being facetious.
anything for you.
Well-
You take till next Christmas, but just realize that you don't get the space.
Right.
But yeah,
I
no,
will definitely,
there's
because I'd
no
like
rush.
to confer with, the judge and Mr.
Absolutely.
Rabbit before I, okay.
and there's no rush, and I'd be more than willing
We
to
have divided.
argue infrastructure, we do have one Monday,
I think,
but
you would
don't
have to work
feel
on.
rushed to get that done by
Transfer
Monday,
them from ours
because we meet every
to
other
you.
week.
I'm pretty sure we can do that.
Oftentimes, we meet more than that.
We're gonna get rid of them
I
anyway.
work very hard on having to
Again,
you by 8 a.m. Monday.
You know, those where the
Don't-
desk and
don't-
have those soundproof dividers that you can adjust, move around there, I get like this.
so with that, I'd make a motion that we,
And
We'll
if you
keep
look
this as a monthly, on the agenda, and we'll bring it back. Any citizen participation? Board comments, anybody have any comments on the mental health board? Okay, the chair will call the meeting of the, drug court,
hey, hold on, Bob, motion to adjourn.
oh, sure.
Thank you.
Any discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Okay, the chair will call the meeting of the drug court, board, notice is properly posted, discussion and possible action to approve the minutes of 5/14/20 and 5/22/20. Is that right?
Are you looking at the agenda?
Let's see if
Yeah,
it's already
the
on.
agenda, there's only one, 7/16.
Yeah, you look at it, Bob, I think.
All right, sure.
We have a space upstairs, it would be perfect for you, but
Hey, give me an office
they
second.
would have to give us that. We're-
Chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the July 16th, 2020, drug court.
Second,
Motion made, is there a second?
second.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Number 3 is discussion and possible action to approve the 2021 schedule of meetings.
Motion to approve the schedule of meetings for 2021.
Motion made, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Next item is discussion, possible action to receive drug court statistical report. I guess that's where we say that, Ms. Hendershot is no longer with the, drug court, so we don't have anybody that is preparing, but you have some.
Well, I don't have a full statistical report, I do just have some we did get a DMH number just on our active counts yesterday, I can share that.
That'd be great, Jim.
I mean, we have, our program is slotted, it's reevaluated this quarter. Right now, we have 336 active participants. And that is, so that's rather low, obviously. 336, we've been averaging around 400, but during the COVID period, we could not have any new pleas. Yet because we were able to continue to drug test and to keep the program going, we were able to graduate people. And we've just it's really been a challenge to get our numbers back up. I guess that's the best way to say it. We don't. We're trying to get all of our pleas back in, but right now our numbers are 336. And our funding tier is 370 to 380. So we are a good 40 participants below where we ought to be, where we could potentially be considered for a reduction in funding.
They probably won't cut us till January.
Probably not. I'm going to be on a call with Nisha after this at 3 o'clock. I've got a call with her and with DMH, and I can get a sense of what their DMH's position is and the effect of the COVID pandemic on numbers and budgets and all that, and I'll see where they lie. But of course, I used to say we're working very hard to get our fleet back up to where they get our program back to where it was.
Any questions for Judge Stone? Thanks, Judge. Next item is discussion and possible action regarding necessary office space. We talked about that before, and that'll be stricken. Next item is discussion and possible action to discuss future disposition of closed drug court files.
What do you mean?
I actually talked to Mr. Monroe about it. We would need to have people who could move the boxes out to the storage out at Lincoln, but he seemed to say we could have some space out there. There's a bunch of locked stuff.
Does it have to be locked?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Does it?
yeah, but it's with those cages, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, yeah, no, I know, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, all we gotta do is
How long do you have to keep them?
7 or 10 years. 10 years.
Yeah.
And it every time somebody looks at them, it goes back to 0, and you do another 10 years. Isn't that right?
Seriously?
No.
Are these,
When did they change the statute on
Maybe the drug court files that you have,
it? Okay,
but not ours.
okay, yeah. Yeah, the court files,
Yes.
every time somebody takes a look at them, it starts over again.
It's really stupid by that.
There was a lot of discussion about that at an interim study I was at the other day.
Yeah,
I think there's
I've been at a bunch of
some movement that it might want to actually do something about that. So,
I think once we get the new coordinator, they can start going through and seeing what they have, and see, because Rick,
It's a secret
people
place.
moved the other ones to an office up on, on 8.5, so we've got a whole bunch, but Linda Lee said it was totally false. I haven't been there, I'll try to go up there next month.
And the back at Lincoln would probably be the best place, because
That's where I think
it's
it'd be
easy to
best.
get to, those are locked fence gates, it's very sealed, and there's docks there, so when you do need to get to them, it's accessible, so you start putting them in office, it makes it a little tougher on us, but if you put them over there, it's really safe, it's secure.
And we go out there once a month, we can go out there anytime, because I have storage out there.
They like
So
some more.
I could go out there and pick anything up for the drug court.
have you considered, calling the jail trust and asking them for some of their trustees to move this? Well, actually, could they? That probably, moving court records, well, no, the trustees move the court records now.
Well,
The
I don't know if
DOC
they are now, they
trustees.
used to, I don't know if
Yeah.
they're still doing it right now during this COVID virus.
Yeah, no, we're not actually taking DOC right now.
Once we identify the files that need to move out there, we could ask the trust, and the only problem is, how does the trust drive those guys out there? Well, if they could give us a couple trustees,
Well, it could be used for the SHINE program. I mean, the SHINE program has vans and equipment and all that. We just schedule it with them.
Is it still in existence?
Yeah,
Possibility.
in unincorporated area, you'll have to get with Commissioner Mon, because I haven't worked on that in quite some time now. So,
Okay.
if you'll get with Commissioner Mon on the SHINE program and see what they can do. I think loaning, get a truck or a van or something, there's probably
yeah.
the least of the
How many
worries.
boxes are you talking about moving?
Well, I'm not entirely sure. But let me make sure that I understand the records up there. If Kat, what you're saying is if they're older than 10 years, they can be disposed of. And I guess there's a process for that. So these would go to a shredder or something like
Yeah,
that?
we'll hire shred.
They come right here and park in the parking lot and do it right here.
Okay.
We've done it before.
All right, so anything older than 2010 can be disposed of. If they are between 2010 and current, those are what percentage of those are gonna go, and what, are we gonna keep, like the last, I guess, if people go through, look at people who might be AWOL in the program, keep all those, in case when we pick them up and everything else just goes out there? As far as dividing what would go out to,
Yeah, what I would hope is the ones you think you may need again, we keep here on 8.5.
Okay.
Well, because we have a reserve room. That way the coordinator can get up there. If you want a file, you'd get the file in an hour.
yeah,
The ones that we think the odds of ever using, seeing again are 1 in 100, where they successfully completed the program, we just stick them out there. We put the year that they were closed, on the box, say,
So basically, if they graduated, they can go. So if they graduate from the program, they
Yeah.
can be moved, anything that's still here, we want to just keep here the ones that are, for some reason, they probably went to AWOL, really. If they failed the program and they were discharged and went to DOC, I don't know how we need those either.
they can go over there too, yeah, we don't need them.
Really, we just want to keep the ones that are AWOL here, because those are
Right.
likely to be used. Okay, that makes sense. We can kind of put a framework together for,
Everyone I closed out has the name on the front. I'm sure I have a list of all the ones I had closed out as of, I think it was in 17, that I had gone backward and closed out anything that they had done in years.
Okay, right. And since Bruno Lee isn't here, we won't have the AWOL participants. And then I've attached the, schedule, the financials for drug court, which include the, 3 accounts that we have. My biggest concern is the amount of money that is we had a good month, Rick did a good job collecting last month, in August and September, the user fees, which kicked us back up. But we were really hurt, and I was afraid we were gonna have to transfer money from the general account to the user fee account to pay for, basically indigent tests or IOU tests. But we were able to, we had 2 good months of user fees. So I think we're gonna be okay for at least through January. But our user fees, at one time, we had a balance of over $100,000 in it, and we've been whittling it down every year at about $30,000. I think at one time we were over $130,000. So as a practical matter, we're gonna have to, and that's just because we're paying for more drug testing, whatever. And I bet you a lot of the user fee were some of the IOUs, Judge, that you collected. You told them to go pay, but I don't know that for a fact.
yeah, it could be. We've, once we started back in June, we put a full court press on getting people caught up on IOUs, and I think we have a pretty good process. I mean, in order to get IOUs over a certain amount, they have to come in and fill out forms and put an oath, and most of them just will not go to the trouble that if they can really go get the resources together. And so, I just can tell you, Bob, we're really doing the best that we can on that. I think one comment that once we have a new coordinator, maybe a new team over there, I would like to just look at the user fees and maybe even the UA costs and having a more of a tiered approach. Just an idea, so if you make over $30,000 a year, your UAs are $13 and your user fees are $15 as opposed to $10. If you're under $30,000, you're this. And so we have a lot of the people that are in DUI court, they're professionals, they have jobs, or maybe if we have a kind of sliding scale based on income, there are just some people that have the ability to pay more. It would not create a hardship for them, it just create a hardship for us, tracking what category are you in. That's the big friction point.
Is there a maximum by statute on the user fees?
I don't think so.
$20.
$20 is maximum, okay. $20 a month is our, so we're well below what we could be charging. But we do have a very, very high percentage of indigent participants compared to other programs.
Just one question about that, how do you prove that?
How we prove it?
Yeah.
Oh, how you prove what your income is? That's
Yeah.
a good question. We'd have to figure that out. It might be just.
The only reason I asked is because I looked at doing something similar with the Shine Fund.
Is that right?
They increased the revenues and
Okay.
I don't know. I didn't like the road that it was going down, so.
Okay. Well, yeah, I take some advice and input on that, and just trying to figure out a better way to do it.
I couldn't find a good way, so hopefully you can.
Okay. I feel reluctant. We end up knowing our people fairly well.
Yeah.
It may take a little bit, but Bob.
I have to look, Judge, at what my approval that the Supreme Court got me a couple of years ago through the tax commission. But like if Judge Collins calls me and asks how much money an individual made over X number of years for, we can look it up, we can't print it out, and they'll say, well, Rick Warren made $50,000 this year, $40,000 last year, and $180,000 3 years ago. We could do the last 3 years. We might be able to do that with some of the participants, whereas that way you would know kind of what their income was. I think it's probably okay. I'll double check. Donna gets back Monday. I'll look at the agreement, but I'm pretty sure I would have, if you called and asked me, you didn't have to call, your bailiff
Okay.
shot me an email, Donna could come back and shoot the email saying, these people did X. It's real simple for us,
Interesting.
which might help you a lot make those decisions.
Okay.
Okay.
One thing, we can approach that, but I just want to know it's kind of on the radar. When we're thinking about, I'm aware that we're struggling financially in a couple areas, so we're trying to think ahead of what we can do to make sure we don't go further in the hole.
Okay, next item is citizen participation. No citizens wishing to participate. Board member comments. Judge, you want to tell them about the...
Yeah, so our big issue is, our coordinator had resigned to go back into more of a therapeutic role. That's where she came from, the therapeutic world. Some of the strengths that we really need is somebody who's an administrator, good with numbers, process, systems. And at the end of the day, I think it was it ended up being a better fit for her to do something different. And so we are looking for somebody, a drug court coordinator. And also I just found out last Friday, we're going to look for an assistant coordinator as well. So we have Adrian, he put in his 2 weeks notice. He's going across the hall to work with Grant and conditional bond, the case manager over there. He had an opportunity to make about $4,000 a year plus gets parking paid for. So he decided that's what he wants to do. So I can't blame him for that, but he always said he had a great environment, loved the team, it wasn't anything other than I just had a little bit better opportunity someplace else. So that's our big news. We're on the hunt to fill those spots. We've got them listed. We're taking. Well, we don't have Adrian's spot listed. Adrian's vacancy listed yet, but we are accepting applications for the coordinator position. Resumes are due. Applications are due tomorrow. We'll have some interviews after that. Hopefully, we do have a couple candidates that we feel like are really strong. Hopefully we can, if they do come in, we can figure out how to meet their salary requirements, because I'm hopeful. The one thing I do want to comment, Bob, and the rest of this board, if we hire a coordinator, part of the job description is them actively engaging the community to bring resources into the program, working on cultivating external resources for the program. And there is a huge appetite, in my estimation, in the city for people wanting to help us support these programs and look at what Remerge has done by just getting good at telling their story and sharing the story and showing people a way to contribute and a way to do that. So this board is not authorized, but they became aware of a fund, a nonprofit fund that has been set up. When we have our public celebration of graduates, we have 2 of those. We've just, without even asking, we've gotten probably $3,000 worth of donations without even asking. Just we put a little blurb there. If you want to contribute, you can just contribute. And so I think with some concerted effort and a coordinator that was also, as part of her job description and part of responsibilities, is help us get those outside resources, we can really build a fantastic program. I do want to point out, Tulsa County, I was trying to figure out, Tulsa County has 8 staff members on their drug court team. It's a bigger program than we do, and they have a lot of private support that they've gotten to be able to have an 8-person team there. But anyway, that's our primary focus here between now and the next meeting. also, we are also getting the Connexus Cloud up and running, and very optimistic about that. That's all my comments.
Rick,
No comment.
Miles,
I like,
Butch, Jack,
No.
motion to adjourn.
Second.
Chair entertain motion to adjourn. Second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Motion to
See you,
table.
Butch.
Yeah, motion to table.
Yeah, I think I'll show up.